Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our weekly MMA talk show called Chokes and Eye Pokes. I'm your host as always, Vern. I'm joined by my co-host, still in Germany, Jack. Jack, how's it going? How's Germany treating you?
Yeah, it's get good. That's about as much as I'm gonna say because my German isn't that good. But yeah, it's going good. Yeah.
Good, man. Good to see you again. Not really much happening. Obviously, there's some things that happened this past weekend. No UFC. And I kind of feel the UFC 300 blues. It's like after the high of UFC 300, we now got this dip where we got a series of fight nights again, which, I will watch it, but it's like I'm not too excited about them. Even leading up to UFC 301, I'm not as excited as other pay-per-views. But hey, man, it's only natural. UFC 300, you gave it a 10 out of 10. I scored it very highly. It's only natural that there's some post-UFC 300 blues.
Yeah, some post 300 clarity. I don't know. This next card, it does feel a little bit like I don't know a single one of these fighters. I had to like do a bunch of tape reading just to get to know these guys. Some of them there's definitely potential for interesting fights. But yeah, definitely I'm also feeling that blues now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking through the card, 40-year-old, people off losing streaks. UFC debut at number 3. Probably a fairly interesting fight. Light heavyweight, not too bad. And then I guess the flyweight bout, but how I feel about the flyweights. Not too excited about them. But before we get to that, we're not going to do a full breakdown of that card, I think. Because like you say, it feels like, I don't want to do the athletes like an injustice, but it does feel like a bit of a filler card. I'm starting to think there's too many fights, but that's just me. There was PFL this weekend. We had Don Madge topping the rankings. I've actually got the standings here. Let me actually we'll pull them up on screen as well. So in first place after this past weekend with 6 points, Don Madge. After the 1 minute, couple of seconds victory. Murad Ramazanov also got quick 6. Shamil Musayev got 5 points. Mohamed Umaletov got 3. And Goiti Iamuchi also got 3. So those are the fighters that won. Naaman Gracie, Andrei Koreshkov, Logan Storley, Brendan Ward, who Don Madge beat. They all have 0 because they lost their fight. And then Loreno Staropoli has got -1, losing the fight and missing weight. Yeah, so the winners, the top 4 so far, obviously the top 4 progressed to the semifinals or playoffs. It's Don Madge, the lone South African with 3 Russians, undefeated Russians, actually. But yeah, Don's fight, as quick as it lasted. He got taken down, got back up. His first fight in 2 years. Looked very sharp. All of that instinct came back. Took a shot or 2, but in his post-fight interview said that those shots actually didn't hurt him, and that's why he switched to 170. Because and I asked him this on the podcast as well. I'll put a link up again right here. Moving to 170, is that a deciding factor, or not a deciding factor, but is a contributing factor? Being able to take the shots, because when you cut less weight, obviously you're able to take better shots. And he said in the post-fight interview that he was able to take those shots. He didn't feel them, they didn't hurt him. Whereas at 155, because of the weight cut, those shots did a lot more damage from 55. But managed to get the big knees, and then got a standing rear naked choke like within 2 minutes. I think it was 1 minute 30 seconds. Man, what an impressive fight. I was like trying my best not to scream because it was like 2:30 in the morning. But man, congratulations to Don Madge. And like we said last week, from my side, I hope this is the start for him to a tournament win.
Yeah, same. And it's hard to not get your hopes immediately up, but I'm very hopeful that he can get this done.
Yeah, I mean, like I commented on I don't know if it was on their YouTube channel or on Instagram, on PFL's Instagram. I think it was the YouTube channel. I was like, well, this is only the beginning. He's coming for the tournament win, and redemption and all that. And someone commented, there's no chance. Is this 3 undefeated Dagestanis that are coming and whatever? And I'm like, true. That's a tough, grinding style to beat. But he knows what he has to do. He just has to stuff the takedown. Just needs to wrestle, 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 wrestle. I mean, it's going to be similar to that Costa Ioane fight years back, the fight that made me a fan, where he was a stand-up fighter. I think he was a blue belt at the time, or maybe just got his purple belt. And he went up against a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And all he did for that camp was grapple from the start of the day to the end of the day. People who were like over 100 kilograms, black belts, and just getting up. So it's going to be tough, possibly. There's going to be some tough fights in there, but I think he can do it. I think he knows exactly what he has to do. He's got great coaches. And I'm hoping that this is another South African champion in a major MMA organization.
Yeah, I can see it. And I don't know, he's just so good everywhere. Like you say, I think he's got the tools to get through those guys.
Most definitely. I mean, you talk about legitimately world-class Muay Thai. I mean, the guy was a world champion, was a champion in Thailand, legitimately pro-level, high level boxing. I mean, the guy he was talking about going professional in boxing at one stage. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, who by all accounts is also world-class, with people who are up there and have rolled with him. And great at putting everything together. Great wrestling as well. It's good to have these individual skills in MMA, but if you can put them all together the way he does, like you say, it's something special. I just hope that he remains injury-free and that he can get the momentum behind him like he did just before he entered the PFL and then get that win streak. So, yeah, another big win for South African MMA this weekend. Yeah, so there was some interesting back and forth in the lightweight division. I'm going to put the quote up on screen now. Basically, Arman Tsarukyan fired back at Michael Chandler for some words that Chandler had it in before. So Chandler said, I also don't understand why he didn't take that fight. I would have taken it. Man, the sport moves fast. To which Arman Tsarukyan replied, and this is just spitting facts. He's like, I don't expect you to understand, Michael Chandler. We are not on the same level. Fact. I'm here to be the champion. Okay, Chandler, maybe too. You're just waiting on a paycheck. 100% fact. I also don't understand why you waited for Conor for 2 years. You could have lost 4 exciting fights during that time. It's just like fact. It was like that's a solid 10-8, if not a 10-7 for Arman there.
Yeah, 100%. I also don't understand the thinking, because like Red Penny Night can't be that much that it makes up for those 4 fights, But yeah, imagine they did fight though. Yeah.
No, what I was going to say is I think Chandler is looking at it in terms of like how much effort he'd have to put in for the similar or better reward he'd put less effort in. Like you fight Conor, maybe you get 3 million to show, who knows, 2 million to show, whereas in his other 4 fights maybe he gets 500,000 to show. Maybe he gets 750 to show. Okay, so he gets just a little bit more, depending on what he gets for the Conor fight. But he's got to go through 3 fights, and if he loses one of those fights, remember he's on a bit of he hasn't had the best run in the last little while. So I think it's that, but then also the fact that if you beat Conor McGregor, to the casual fan, you just explode. I mean, to the hardcore fan, everybody knew who Nate Diaz was. Everybody knew his capabilities. Everyone was already a fan of his. When he beat Conor McGregor, the casual fan became a fan. And I think that's what Chandler possibly is going for. But he's not one to speak, bro, with Arman about not taking fights. I mean, Arman said it's not enough time. He wants to be fully prepped. Fair enough. Dirika said the same thing. Arman's not injured. But, why would you want to rush? Why would you want to rush it? Okay, you might lose out on the title. If Dustin ends up winning, they might have another match. But, I mean, Arman's the clear number 1 contender after this, especially after Gaethje lost to Max.
Yeah, I agree. And like you can't blame him as well, especially after that like 5-round war, Well, it was 5 rounds? It was
3 rounds. No, it was 3 rounds with Charles. Yeah, but it was still it was a tough fight, It was he's relatively unscathed, but he was in danger with those submission attempts for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and who do I think would win this? I think Arman wins this. Arman Tsarukyan wins it, I think.
Yeah,
I
any
think
day
2
of
years
the
off
week.
is a long time to come off. Yeah, it's a long time to come off and be Chandler. Chandler for the fan is great to watch because he tries to be entertaining. He tries to go and strike as much as he can and hunt for the finish, and he's very entertaining to watch. I'm a big fan of his. But I think Arman is the new wave. Arman and Chandler's kind of on the way out. So from his point of view, smart to fight Conor. Because remember, it should be that he gets not only gets a higher upfront. You know, if he wins, then he doubles it, and then he probably gets some of the pay-per-view revenue. So if they negotiate a good deal, I mean, he could be set for life. So, you know, red pant tonight, and he could be the one. If he's the one that retires Conor, that's a story that he can take forward.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
But I think Arman would beat any single. Arman Tsarukyan would beat any of the lightweights at the moment. To be honest with you, that's my feeling. You know, I say he's probably one of the most complete fighters, and he's also good at putting it together. He's got good game plans. I think he'll beat all of the lightweights. To be honest.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree. I literally I can't think of a single name now that could, other than Islam, like post some real challenges. You know, that's
Yeah, Islam will be the toughest fight, I think.
Yeah.
And Max, if Max can fight like he fought against Gaethje, that's a tough fight too, because Arman won't outstrike him, and Arman won't be able to take him down if he can if they can keep it standing. So,
Yeah.
interesting fight. But yeah, Chandler McGregor's still on. No Max BMF title on the line there. So, yeah, Chandler's a 170 pounder now, supposedly. So, yeah. Just thought it was funny though, because Arman was spitting straight facts.
Yeah, hectic.
Yeah, speaking of weight class jumps and things, I know Max was looking at fighting Ilia Topuria. Topuria said he wasn't really interested in the fight unless the BMF belt's on the line. He's now looking to fight down a weight class, or have the, not fight at 135, but have the 135 champ, Sean O'Malley, come up. His tweet was, if he defends the belt, that's going to be the biggest fight in history, on a potential super fight with Sean O'Malley. I don't know, man. I think we always say people try to jump up too much, and O'Malley's spoken about fighting at 45. I think O'Malley can do well at 45 because he's long and rangy. If he fights Topuria, depends what type of game Topuria wants to play. If Topuria wants to take him down, I think he can. I think he can have his way with him on the ground. If they get to a striking battle, I mean, Topuria's been susceptible to shots against longer, rangier people at lightweight. So it's an interesting fight, man. I actually think of the champ versus champ fights, this is probably one of the ones I would like to see happen. I wouldn't like to see Topuria versus Makhachev if he stays champion. I wouldn't like to see Makhachev versus Leon Edwards, maybe. Leon versus Dricus, no. Dricus versus Pereira, maybe. Pereira versus Aspinall, not for me. So this is probably one that makes sense the most for me. I think it would be a nice fight to watch. I think it'd be fireworks.
But I hear what you're saying, but I think I disagree somewhat. I don't know. I think that the 135, it has enough contenders that the champ shouldn't have to go out of the division. I just always think like Corey, the winner of him versus Omar. I think that should be next for the title, and it would be just quite sad to see the champion vacate to go into another weight division for a little bit, and then seeing the loser of Corey versus Omar have to wait. But that's also, I'm just such a Corey fan, and if he wins, I wouldn't want to see him wait another how many years.
I mean, you're right. I think there are enough challenges, but I'm just saying, if they do decide to do champ versus champ,
Yeah.
I'd love to watch this one. The Volk one versus Makhachev in the first fight, I was like, nah, this is stupid because Volk's going to get killed. Didn't. Then it gave us sort of, I don't want to say false hope, but Volk was on 10 days in the second one. That didn't get me excited the first time, which maybe that was my own stupidness or whatever. But I think O'Malley, if he defends his title a couple more times, should get that chance if he wants it. I think Topuria's also got enough fights at 45 that, he can do. There's Max. No Volk rematch, I don't think. Volk maybe must maybe fight Yair or someone like that. So there are matchups there. Umar, yeah, you're right at 135. But I think it would be a good fight. If they wanted to make that fight happen, I wouldn't be against it. Could you imagine O'Malley beats Topuria? That would be ridiculous, eh? And then you've got
Yeah.
O'Malley versus Max. It just wouldn't be fair.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be wild. Yeah.
It's so crazy how the styles make the fights, eh? Because I think Topuria could beat Max, but after that last performance, I don't know. Now I'm
Yeah.
like on the fence. Topuria versus O'Malley, I'm like, O'Malley's got a decent chance, but then I'd say so Topuria beat Max, O'Malley beat Topuria possibly, and then Max beat O'Malley. So it's like this
Yeah.
round robin the whole time.
Yeah.
But that's what makes fighting so interesting. So if the UFC puts that together, I'll definitely watch. All right.
Yeah.
So also announced UFC 304 is back in Manchester, July the 27th, the Co-op Live Arena. Apparently, Tom Aspinall will be defending his belt. The interim belt, strangely enough. No John Jones still. But yeah, it's good to see. Apparently, Leon Edwards is also going to put his belt on the line. Be interesting to see who they fight against. I don't know if they're going to have the perennial Cyril Gahn full in again.
Yeah.
But let's see. At heavyweight, Pavlovich is gone. Volkov is booked. Obviously, Pavlovich just lost. So possibly Cyril Gahn. I don't know. He seems to be the one that always falls in.
Yeah.
And then Leon Edwards. Who's going to be fighting Leon Edwards? Is it going to be Shavkat Rakhmonov? Or is Bilal finally going to get his little title shot? Yes, no? Who knows?
I'm at this point.
I know you want that fight to happen, but
Not anymore. I don't know. It's become too much of a meme at this point, and now I agree with the meme. I don't want to see Bilal fight.
no.
Yeah. But for
Shavkat?
Tom,
Shavkat
Yeah.
maybe?
Shavkat would be
Shavkat
really
maybe?
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would really like to see that fight.
I would like to see that.
Yeah.
So maybe Shavkat, but let's just look at the rankings here. So champion Leon Edwards, number one ranked Kamaru Usman, Bilal Muhammad, Shavkat Rakhmonov, Colby Covington, Jack Della Maddalena. I always
Yeah.
gets a tongue twister. He wants to fight Shavkat, so who knows? If they do Ian Gary, I will be pissed. But I think Shavkat, and then you should do Jack versus Ian Gary. I feel.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think Ian is dangerous, but I think against Jack, yeah, that's a really interesting fight.
Yeah. Ian hasn't done enough to earn a title shot. I think Shavkat's the logical choice. But I think they give it to Bilal, to be honest with you. I think Bilal is a better chance for Leon Edwards to win, and they want to send the crowd home happy, possibly. You don't want to have him get murked against Shavkat, possibly. So
Yeah.
I think Shavkat and Jack fight each other, maybe. But then, at heavyweight, let me just pull up these rankings as well. Heavyweight champion John Jones, Tom Aspinall, interim Cyril Gahn, Sergey Pavlovich just lost. He's fighting Volkov anyway. Stipe Miocic not around. Curtis Blade, Jelton Almeida. Yeah, then you're starting to really scrape the barrel after that. So
Yeah.
I think for Tom Aspinall, it's probably going to be Cyril Gahn, but they might make Blades, no, Almeida maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be Cyril Gahn for UFC 304. So I'm going to put it out there for UFC 304. I think they're going to go Tom Aspinall versus Cyril Gahn, and I think they're going to go for Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad, just because Shavkat and Jack will fight each other and have an eliminator there. Hail Mary, they maybe go for Ian Machado Gary, but surely not. He hasn't deserved it.
No. Yeah. I'm just thinking what a world it would be if because there's another contender in Stipe Miocic that Tom Aspinall could fight, but that would never happen. But I'm just thinking about what that would do to the landscape if you unify that interim and then the winner of that fights John Jones.
Yeah, listen, Stipe's not getting any younger. I think that is the fight to make, but I think he's going to wait for John Jones, but Aspinall probably beats him, so I don't know if that fight's happening.
Yeah, same.
Well, that's kind of the news for this week. I know there was some training footage of Conor McGregor with his sparring partners, but not really much more than that. So I think it's time to get into this week's UFC fight night. It is, of course, Nicolau versus Perez. We're going to start, I think, for these fight nights. I think we're going to do sort of a condensed version of what we think is going to happen, and not too much of a full analysis, really. So I'll go first. In the first fight, Tim Means, 40 years old, 33, 15 and 1, versus Uros Medic, who's 9, 2 and 0, 2 and 2 in the UFC, plus 250 for Means. Medic minus 310 favorite. I'm actually going to go for Means, even though he's 40 years old, and even though he is the underdog. I'm going to go for him to win by a second round KO, just because he's got the reach advantage and he is still pretty tough. So that's my first pick, my first result. After that, we've got Jonathan Pierce versus David Onama. Jonathan Pierce, no odds for this one. Jonathan Pierce 14, 5 and 0. Onama 11, 2 and 0. I think Onama might be the favorite, but I mean, just going off without odds. But for this one, I'm actually just going to go Pierce for the second round TKO. In the third fight, it's at heavyweight. We've got Austin Lane 12, 4 and 0 versus Yonata Dinaz. He's making his UFC debut. He's 1, 0 and 0 in MMA, but he's 6 and 0 in kickboxing and glory. This one, I'm still a little bit undecided about, because Lane likes to brawl. And if he brawls with Dinaz, probably going to get knocked out. So I think he needs to grapple in this one. You know how I feel about people making their UFC debuts. But I think I'm going to go with Lane on this one. I think that Dinaz is just too inexperienced. I think Lane's going to win by decision, even though Dinaz probably could knock him out. Then we've got the fourth fight. We've got Ariane Lipski. She's number 12 ranked versus Karine Silva, number 13 ranked. This is women's flyweight. Lipski is a plus 130 underdog. Silva is a minus 155 favorite. Lipski 17, 8 and 0. Silva 17, 4 and 0. Silva's a really, they both got, I think Lipski's got a 3-fight win streak, very well rounded. Silva's got 3 submission wins. Really found her groove with her submissions and her grappling and jiu-jitsu. So I'm going to go round 2 submission for Silva. Second last fight is light heavyweight. Ryan Spann, number 11 ranked, versus Bogdan Guzkov. Ryan Spann is a minus 205 favorite to Guzkov's plus 170. Spann 21, 9 and 0. Guzkov 15, 3 and 0. For this one, real simple. Spann by second round submission. Lastly, for the main event, Nicolau versus Perez, number 5 ranked versus number 8. Nicolau is 19, 4 and 1, minus 175 favorite. Then we've got Perez, number 8 ranked, 24, 8 and 0, plus 145 underdog. Taking this fight on short notice, filling in for Manal Kape. I'm going to go for Nicolau to win by round 3 sub. So, in summary, my results up on screen. I've got Means to win by a second round knockout. I've got Pierce to win by second round TKO. I've got Lane to win by decision. I've got Karine Silva to win by second round submission. I've got Spann to win by second round submission, and I've got Nicolau to win by third round submission. And those are my picks. Jack, what you got?
Quite different to yours. I'm excited. So for kicking off the fight, I actually have Medic. I think that he can actually he can take him to the ground and hold him there. So I'm going to go second round submission. And then next in with Jonathan Pierce versus David Onama. I think Jonathan Pierce is a very strong choice, but just by virtue of David Onama being Ugandan, I'm going to go David Onama. I've also been really impressed with David Onama just in general. I think that he's got a very good fight IQ, and I think he can mix it up really well, and I don't see Jonathan Pierce being able to get at him defensively. So I'm going to say 3 rounds or full decision to David Onama. The next fight, Austin Lane versus Jonata Dinitz. I am going to, I don't know, I'm getting an Alex Pereira vibe from this Brazilian kickboxer from Glory that's making his debut. So it's maybe not a wise choice, but I'm going to say Dinitz by first round KO. I might live to regret that decision. The next fight with Ariane Lipski versus Karine Silva. I remember our last preview with Ariane Lipski, and I was saying that I was not impressed by her, and she won that fight, and I am now impressed by her. And I think that her pace control in fights is, I'm always really impressed with that, or at least I particularly was last time. So I'm going to say Ariane Lipski, third round decision. She's just in terms of holding that pace well and making it her fight. The next fight is Ryan Spann versus Bogdan Guskov. Ryan Spann, I'm going to have him as second round TKO. To me, this does feel probably the easiest one to judge on the card. I think Ryan Spann, just as a fighter, he's shown us a lot more than Bogdan has, and yeah, not much more I can say about that. And Matheus Nicolau versus Alex Perez. Oof, yeah, I really wish Cape? Yeah, Manuel Cape. I really wish that he hadn't pulled out. I think that would have been a ridiculous fight. Matheus Nicolau versus Cape. But just for all of the factors going into this fight, it's hard to not have Matheus Nicolau winning by, I'm going to go bold and say early second round stoppage.
As in TKO or?
Yeah, TKO. Okay, so in summary, I have Medic, Onama, Lane, Lipski, Spann, and Nicolau.
Perfect. Okay, so we got a couple of, like literally a couple of them the same too.
Yeah.
But majority of them are different. I mean, I was on the fence a little bit, but to be honest with you, like I say, post UFC 300 Blues this weekend, not too exciting, but you know, still hopefully some sleeper fights in there. That's about all the time we have for this week. Yeah, like we said, not much really happening this week. We will be back next week for the review of the fight night and then the preview of UFC 301, which, let's see, hopefully it proves us wrong. But let us know what you thought about this week. What do you guys think about Arman's comments? Who do you think would win between Topuria and O'Malley? And what are you guys thinking for this weekend? Are you going to watch this weekend at all? Until next week, we'll see you guys again. Cheers, everybody.